Hey everybody, Benjamin Keck with Keck Legal. Here today I want to talk about a topic that is coming up all the time with my debtor clients in particular, and that is SBA EIDL loans, also known as Emergency Injury Disaster Loans from the U.S. Small Business Administration. These have existed for years but became enormously popular during the COVID pandemic. In fact, I'm seeing nowadays, it seems like just about every small business or the vast majority of small businesses took out an EIDL loan during the pandemic, and now at this point we're now several years after these loans were issued, and many of these clients unfortunately have spent the money and are still in a debt predicament and still have these loans that need to be repaid. And so first of all, I want to distinguish the EIDL loans from the PPP Paycheck Protection Program that happened during COVID, which, as most people know, was a grant that, if you went through the process correctly, did not need to be repaid, as opposed to the EIDL loans, which, as you might guess from the word loan, does need to be repaid. The payment terms are typically quite generous, 30 years at, I believe, 2.75% interest, so very difficult to find much better terms on a loan than that. However, some businesses are increasingly finding themselves in a situation where it's becoming difficult to make those payments nevertheless. So I do want to distinguish the EIDL loans from one other type of SBA-related loan, which would be a loan from a bank that is backed by an SBA guarantee. The difference with the EIDL loans is the money is borrowed directly from the United States government, as opposed to an SBA 7A loan, for example, is borrowed from a bank and guaranteed up to a certain percentage by the United States government. Today I want to focus on the EIDL loans directly from the U.S. government. And a question I'm getting more and more from debtor clients, from small business owners, is can SBA EIDL loans be discharged or crammed down in a bankruptcy proceeding or a Chapter 11 reorganization? And the answer is yes. The answer is yes, absolutely. These are loans that are treated very differently from other obligations to the government, such as taxes. So I think most people probably know that most tax debts are non-dischargeable. So you got to pay your taxes, and the vast majority of the time, most tax debts cannot be wiped out in Chapter 7, and Chapter 11 does allow you to make payments over time, but typically the payment plan needs to be less than 5 years, and there's certain requirements for doing that. SBA EIDL loans are treated very differently. They're treated just like any other loan from any other lender, and therefore can be crammed down and discharged just like a debt to a bank, just like credit card debt. There's really nothing special, at least as the law sits right now, with respect to SBA EIDL loans and your ability to deal with those in Chapter 7 or Chapter 11. So, for example, in a Chapter 7 proceeding, you can simply just wipe out the debt to whoever the borrower is for whoever's filing. So one thing to keep in mind is you very well may have executed a personal guarantee on the EIDL loans. So that's a separate obligation from the business obligation. And we've got a whole other video talking about personal guarantees. But that's something to keep in mind, is the business debt and the personal guarantee debt are two different obligations. So the only way to wipe out personal debt is with a personal Chapter 7, Chapter 11 filing or under some other chapter. So my main focus is on the business debt, and so what can we do with that? Well, you could file Chapter 7 and just wipe it out, at least with respect to the business. It just goes away. You could keep making the payments. That's an option. You could reach out to the SBA and try to do an offer and compromise or go through their loan modification program. These are all options. Or if Chapter 11 makes sense for your business, we can deal with the debt in Chapter 11. And Chapter 11 is a very powerful tool for restructuring a business's debts, including these SBA EIDL loans. Now, not a whole lot we can do with the payment term and interest rate. You're really not going to be able to get a better interest rate than what you've currently got on your SBA EIDL loan. But what can we do? Well, one of the main things we can do is what's called cramdown. And so in Chapter 11, in any bankruptcy chapter, it's really important to distinguish between a secured debt and an unsecured debt. So in general terms, this means, does the lender have collateral? And these SBA loans, they all asked for all assets, liens, but now they might be behind other creditors in line. This is a very powerful tool for dealing with all debts, and in particular, just want to make sure everybody's aware that SBA EIDL loans are treated like regular bank loans and other debts and do not have the special priority and non-dischargeability issues that you run into with tax debts. So, in sum, if you have an SBA EIDL loan and you're experiencing any significant debt issues and think that you might be able to benefit from a restructuring or some other sort of bankruptcy relief, definitely encourage you to reach out to an attorney right away to discuss your options. Again, Benjamin Keck with Keck Legal. Our contact information is at the bottom of the screen. Please feel free to reach out if you have any questions.